Boom, we are live. This is going to be the best review of living and traveling to Colombia. I've seen a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of good videos, a lot of pretty bad videos out there too. But I think that they don't give you the entire picture of actually living in Colombia, the pros and the cons, everything, positive and negatives. So in this video, I'm going to break that down. I was living in Colombia for a couple months, so I have a pretty good experience of actually living in Colombia and also the day-to-day, the sentiment of the people and how they feel with foreigners. So let's go ahead and break this down. It is early in the morning in Ecuador. I'm gonna pop in the blue light blockers. Still pretty early here, barely waking up. But let's go ahead and jump into it. Pull up the whiteboard, get the show on the road. So, Colombia, man. Colombia is by far one of my favorite countries. Very fun country to visit, to live in. But there's a lot of things that are not mentioned by these mainstream channels, all these feel good channels that just kind of go over the positive things. They don't really dive into the negative things of Colombia. And in this channel, we say how it is. We keep it real, we keep it 100 here. And I've been actually been thinking about creating a Rumble account where I can really be unfiltered. Because here on YouTube, man, like you have to be PG to some extent. You know, you can't be over that PG-13 mark, and it gets annoying because there's a lot of harsh realities that I want to cover, a lot of truth bombs I want to drop, but being on YouTube, it keeps it limited. So let me know what you guys think, man. Should I start a Rumble, maybe a private channel? Drop it down in the chat. If I get the green light of if you guys want me to do that, I'll probably end up creating another account on Rumble and really just go off, man. Drop bombs over there. So jumping into Colombia, this is your boy with my dog Pablo. This is actually my good buddy's dog here in Ecuador. But man, he's really friendly, man. He's a sweet dog. I love Pablo. And quick background on me. I am American. I was born and raised in the States. My parents are Mexican. My parents speak and write English. I'm sorry, I speak and write English and Spanish very fluently. My parents do as well. But this is more for my background. Speak English and Spanish very fluently, so I understand how to read and write Spanish. It's it's a huge benefit, especially when you're in Latin America. Multicultural. I've grown up in Latin America and in the United States. I went through the U.S. educational system and also went a couple years in Mexico. My parents put me in middle school when I was younger. I lived in Colombia for 6 months. The last couple of months I was living in Colombia started off with a bachelor party for my boy. And then after that, I just kind of decided to stay there and just kept enjoying the country, man. I really like the country. So Colombia, man. Colombia is a beautiful country. There's a couple quadrants here that we need to break down. I think these are the most important quadrants when it comes to Colombia. I also wanted to make this video because a lot of my boys were requesting me to give them a breakdown of Colombia, and it's very difficult to give each of them a breakdown. So I think just doing a high value video like this will be very helpful for all the boys out there. Anyone who wants to visit Colombia, a lot of like your FAQs will be answered here. So, shout out to my boy Ozzy. Shout out to my boy Lewis. It's going to be a good video for you too, Lewis. Ruben, anyone who's thinking of traveling abroad, starting to travel. And if you have Colombia in your scope, this video will be extremely helpful for you. So the first thing, need to know ASAP. So when it comes to Colombia, you can only stay in Colombia for 6 months out of the year if you're an American citizen. If you're a Colombian citizen, completely different story. You can stay there as long as you want. But if you are a foreign citizen, a lot of citizens from different countries can only stay in Colombia for 6 months out of the year. And they have a rule where you can only stay for 3 months Then you have to leave, re-enter the country, and then you'll be allowed to stay for another 3 months. There's a couple of caveats there as well. You can extend your visa. There's programs that you can do that. I'm not gonna go into the into the details on that, but you can find that, and it'll allow you to extend your visa if you need to. But the way that I did it, man, I just left the country, bro. I went back to the States, saw my family, hung out with them, came back to Colombia, kept the party going. Next thing is you have to complete a check MIG. So check MIG is just like an immigration form before you enter and you leave the country. And it's just like a slip sheet. It takes like 10 minutes to do, asking why you're entering Colombia and why you're leaving. This is just important to keep in mind because a lot of people forget about this, and then they're in line and then they have to fill out the form. They don't get approved, and then they miss their flight, and it can cause a lot of delays and headaches. So just be aware of that. They do have an immigration form that you have to fill out before you enter and leave the country. The next thing is when it comes to the airport, your passport is highly important, man. Your passport, I don't know why I have airport on here, but your passport is highly important. You have to, it cannot be close to expiration. It has to be at least 6 months to a year valid before you enter Colombia. So let's say you're going in January 2025, it has to be valid until August, September-ish of 2025. If it expires, let's say in March of 2025, you will have problems and they'll most likely not allow you to enter the country. Another point on this is that they also want to show a departing flight out of Colombia just to ensure that you're not overstaying your visa. So be aware of that. You have to show proof of a flight of you leaving Colombia. I had issues with that the first time that I went. I didn't know that. I was thinking of hopping to another neighboring country after my time in Colombia. They didn't want to let me in because I didn't have any proof that I was leaving. So I ended up having to get a flight like right there in line to Ecuador. So that's just one thing in mind that can cause some headaches there, and they will be checking that. Sometimes they don't check it, sometimes they do. It just really depends on who you're talking with, but it has happened to me that they ask for that validation. Next thing is that the airport lines are long, especially for the most popular cities, Medellin, Cartagena. Those lines, bro, are crazy. Medellin is probably the worst one. You're going to be, when you get to the airport, you're probably going to be in immigration customs for like 30 minutes to an hour. It takes a while, so just get used to that. Get prepared for that, right? Get mentally prepared for that. Carry an ebook, have something, listen to music while you're standing in that long ass line. The next thing is, they have pretty cool lounge services. I think Medellin and the airport in Bogota have probably some of the best lounge services that I've seen. Bogota has a really nice one. So if you have like Amex Platinum, if you have access to those lounges, you're going to have a pretty good experience there. And when it comes to Ubers and taxis, you could try your luck with Ubers. Some airports do not allow any Ubers, but some Ubers still go. And you just kind of have to do it like in a very discreet way. I've done it in a couple of ways where like the Uber is like, hey man, just say that you're my cousin. I'm just here to pick you up, and we're good to go. And that usually works. But there's sometimes that you don't want, maybe they don't want you to get into an Uber. The Uber's having difficulties reaching you. And those points, it might be best to just get an airport taxi. A lot of times, airport taxi is pretty affordable. Going to the airport is a different story. Ubers can drop you off without an issue. It's just the picking up part that can get complicated. So when you get to the airport, especially in Colombia, I think it's best to get a taxi, and it just makes it more efficient. And Cartagena, though, bro, Cartagena is probably the worst airport. Cartagena is there's a lot of annoying, pestering people in Cartagena, man. We're just going to keep it 100. Cartagena is probably one of the worst airports when it comes to dealing with people. Like, people start pestering you as soon as you walk out of the gate. And they like, a huevo, bro. So it's a saying that we say in Spanish. A huevo is like they just want to force you to get into their taxi, man. So just, be aware of that. Find a credible taxi company that will take you where you need to go, and you should be fine. But it's just something to be aware of and to expect. Next thing is when it comes to finances. So in Colombia, they use Colombian pesos. $1 is approximately 4,000 Colombian pesos. This is the current year to date rate here, 4,166 to the US dollar. Pretty good. I mean, Colombia is pretty cost effective, which I really like. What I would recommend is to not to rely on no foreign transaction credit cards, and also use international and ATM debit cards. Dropping a lot of sauce here. Below in the description, I have all the non foreign transaction credit cards that I use. If you sign up for those, you'll get a welcome bonus. It'll help out the channel, and these cards have been very helpful for me, especially when I'm out here traveling, and I know that they'll be very beneficial for you as well. So check them out. They're all linked in the description below. Airbnbs are more expensive according to these cities in this order. So I like to book a lot of Airbnbs, a lot of bookings, but I would say that Airbnb is probably the 90, when it comes to booking, 90% of my bookings come through Airbnb. And Cartagena is probably going to be the most expensive one, because a lot of tourists go to Cartagena from everywhere, bro, from all over South America, from all over Europe, from all over the States. Cartagena is a big hub for tourists. And for that reason, the real estate is more expensive, and getting like a nice, solid apartment there is more expensive. This more for you're going for vacation and going to party. That's what Cartagena is known for. Then you got Medellin. Medellin is also like known for a party city, but it's also a beautiful city. It has a lot of great areas around Medellin. I would say this is probably second on the list when it comes to prices. You can find a really nice apartment in Medellin for roughly like around like $600 to $1,000. If you're like in the 900, 1,000 to 1,500, you'll get a really nice apartment. But you can still find something for like 600, $700 that is pretty nice in Medellin. It's not too expensive, which is great. And then we have Bogota. Bogota is a bigger city. Bogota is not known for like their tourism. It's more like the capital hub. So a lot of flights come into Bogota, and then it's like a flight hub. A lot of flights, international flights, come into Bogota first, and then they go to South America. So if you want to go to like Argentina from the States, you have to go through Bogota. Bogota will be the layover, and then you can fly over to like Buenos Aires. There's direct flights, but a lot of flights have to make that stop in Bogota first. And Bogota is it's just a big commercial city. It has a lot of businesses, a lot of commerce, and Airbnb's housing here is cheaper for that reason. Since it's a big city, you can find more available housing here at great prices. And then I listed here other. So these are like other cities around Colombia. This would be like in maybe in the Departamento de Antioquia. There's Manizales. There's Pereira. There's a lot of different cities all over Colombia. Colombia is a big country, bro. But these are the main countries that people want to visit. But there's also other great locations, hidden gems all over Colombia. And a lot of these places are not expensive, man. I think the most expensive is going to be Cartagena because of maybe Cartagena, Santa Marta, and las Islas de San Andres, because those are like beach touristy destinations. But other than that, the rest of Colombia is not expensive. Groceries, food, and Ubers are pretty price effective, right? It's pretty cheap. So it's also great for outsourcing. So you can get someone to clean for you in Colombia. You can get someone to do your laundry, which is great. It just saves you like that time of doing that. That's one of the biggest reasons why I lived in Colombia half of this entire year, man. I was living over there because I was outsourcing everything and I was just focusing on my work. I was being extra productive over there. And so that's finances. That's one of the biggest things for finances. If you have any questions on any of this, just drop them down in the comments. I'll make sure to answer anything. We might even make another video on this. But jumping into the next important quadrant here is health. So when it comes to health, this is a question that I got a lot from my boy Louis G. So Louis, this is for you, bro. When it comes to gyms in Colombia, there's a lot of different gyms. There's a lot of private gyms. There's a lot of public gyms. I would recommend, depends on how you work out, man. I need a gym. I need to be at the gym. I need barbells. I need dumbbells. So I need a like a nice gym. And the best option for me has been a Smart Fit Gym. I think these guys, their business model, like looking at it as a business owner and just looking at it like in the entrepreneurial perspective, the business model for Smart Fit is amazing, man. These guys are located all over Latin America. They're in every Latin American country. They're in Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Honduras, Dominican Republic, Panama, Ecuador, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Paraguay. And what's awesome about SmartFit is that it's very similar to like LA Fitness or Planet Fitness in the States, where if you have a membership, you can access any of these locations. So I got mine in Cartagena when I initially got to Colombia. And then from there, I jumped to Medellin. I was in Medellin using it in every single location. And then from there, I went to, I'm over here in Ecuador right now. I live in Quito, Ecuador. So you can see here that you can use that membership everywhere. And I think it's like 25 bucks a month, which is, very cost effective. I also go to Mexico a lot. So there's many locations in Mexico, Guanajuato, Michoacán, Jalisco, Monterrey, Nuevo León, Querétaro, la Ciudad de México, México DF. So, there's many locations. So for me, this has been the best option. The caveat to using this gym is that it gets packed, bro. Like every gym that I've been to in Latin America, a lot of them get packed, crazy packed, where it just makes it hard to work out. I don't like people around me, really, bro. Like I'm very I have like this pet peeve, man, where I just don't like people so close to me. I don't know what it is, bro, but I don't like working out with like another guy like right there next to me. And in Latin America, bro, like it's something that everyone does. Like everyone just kind of takes turns and alternates machines. And it's something that I had to definitely get used to because I'm just so used to having like my space to work out. So you can check out this gym, or you can also, when you're booking your Airbnb, try to get a gym that has a home gym where you can work out. The caveat there is that a lot of times they don't have a lot of the equipment that's necessary to get like a proper workout. They just have like the regular equipment. You can also look for a private gym, but those are more expensive and they're rare. Finding a private gym that has everything that you need is pretty rare. So I mean, I just opted out for SmartFit. What I do right now, bro, is 3 in the morning in Ecuador, and I'm making this video right now so I can go get my workout in at 5 in the morning at the gym. That's the time that they open at SmartFit. So this is the power of sacrifice, man. Waking up early, making these videos, then I'm gonna go get that workout in, knowing that there's not gonna be too many people at the gym, and then from there I'm gonna start my day, go hard as fuck. So the pros, like I said, SmartFit, pretty cheap. You can train all over Latin America. Make sure to get a small padlock. You need that little padlock so you can leave your things in your locker. It's price friendly. Supplements and medicine here is pretty in Colombia is pretty cheap as well. You can get like pretty good whey protein. Groceries are cheap, so you can really lock in with your diet. You can also obtain massages, like high quality massages at good prices. Manicures, pedicures, very important for your self care. We made many videos on this in this series, in the confidence series, but also healthy meals when you eat out. They have like the bandeja paisa. It's probably one of my favorite meals. Bandeja paisa go hard, bro. I think it's pork, but you can choose your meat. But they got tiene frijoles, banana, plantains, bro, and rice. That was probably one of my favorite dishes in Colombia. I keep forgetting that I'm in Ecuador now. Like I'm no longer in Colombia. But so the cons when it comes to health is these gyms just get packed, bro. They get crazy packed. Your timing has to be, you know, taking in consideration your timing. I would suggest either go really early in the morning, 5 in the morning, or go in the evening when everyone's already leaving, finishing their workout. So I like to go in the morning so I can just start off my day strong. And jumping in to dating, this is I get probably the most questions for dating in Colombia. And we're going to break that down now. So dating, bro, a lot of pros, but a lot of cons that I think people just do not mention. So this is natural, man. You want to go to Colombia, you're out here young, you're a young guy. Here for the ladies, man. There might be some nuggets of wisdom here for the ladies as well. But I tailor most of my content for the guys. A lot of my homies ask me to answer some of these questions. So the pros of dating in Colombia. We're gonna start cooking for real now. So Colombia, without a doubt, in my mind, has some of the most beautiful women in the world. Shout out to Colombian women. Shout out to Las Paisas de Colombia. Son hermosas. They're beautiful, bro. Beautiful, beautiful women. They're sexy. Body is on point. A lot of them are very friendly. Like they're naturally very friendly. And yeah, man, they're bombshells. They're bombshells. But whenever you have a bombshell, there's two sides to that coin. So many of them are friendly, and especially in Medellin. In Medellin, a lot of them are friendly. In Cartagena is more touristy, right? So a lot of the girls that are from Medellin go vacation in Cartagena. So a lot of the cute girls from Medellin are in Cartagena. There's a lot of local cute Cartagena girls as well, but I would say that Medellin beats them out by far. And they say Bogota is also up there. I've only passed by Bogota, lived there for like a day or two, but I don't really consider that like actually living there. And I would say that Medellin is probably number one, and then it's like a close tie between Cartagena and Bogota. But Medellin is where all the beautiful girls are at, man. And it's just the truth, bro. I don't know what's in the water. I don't know what's in the food, but these girls are beautiful. They're sexy, and yeah, man, they're gorgeous. There's probably some of the most beautiful women that I've seen in my life. Just the truth. Just keeping it honest, man. Just keeping it 100. So the thing about them being too friendly is that you also have to be very careful with them being too friendly, because there's a lot of scrubs out here. We made countless of videos on the Confidence series about scrubs, man. And the last thing you want to be is a scrub in a different country, especially in Colombia, especially in Medellin, because you would get taken advantage of. If there's some girls that are so accustomed to like the lifestyle that comes with living in Medellin that they are good at finessing, and they're good at extracting from scrubs, guys that are unaware, that are not really conscious of the surroundings. So you have to be very careful with a couple of girls. If they're too friendly, you gotta get better at vetting. It's the small details. You gotta get very good at vetting. That's one of the. It's always usually a little red flag when a girl's too friendly. And I think when anyone is too friendly in general, it's a little red flag that you always have to keep your eyes out open for. Another of the pros is that there's price friendly dates. There's a lot of great venues in Medellin and Cartagena. There's a lot of great clubs, nightclubs, coffee shops. In Medellin, there's an area known as Poblado. That's probably where all the nightclubs, all the bars are at. Laureles is also a big up and coming one. And then we got Envigado. I really like Envigado too. But they have a lot of great venues, bro. There's a lot of American investment. There's a lot of foreign investment. I don't think a lot of Colombians know this, but there's a lot of foreign investment in Colombia from Americans with that they invest into these bars, these restaurants, and that's why the city is popping, bro. If you go to the city, man, like there's a lot of amazing locations. In Cartagena, I would highly recommend you guys to check out Alquímico. That's probably one of my favorite bars / clubs in Cartagena. This is where we went for my boy's bachelor party. Shout out to my boy Fausto. We went to Alquímico, and man, it was a pretty badass time, bro. You can check it out on IG, man. It's a really nice club. Highly recommend it. So jumping into the cons of dating in Colombia. So there's a serious issue going on with a lot of tourists getting drugged in Colombia. So there's a drug out here called scopolamine, and it actually originates, to my knowledge, that's kind of what one of my tour guys told me here in Ecuador. But he says that it originates here in Ecuador from the plant amapola. If I'm not mistaken, that was a drug. That's the plan. Somebody fact check me, drop down in the comments. But that essentially what that drug does, it removes your free will. So it kind of makes you like stupid, but you're just kind of going with what anyone around you is telling you. So if someone asks for like your bank account information, someone asks for private sensitive information, you'll willingly give them that information under that drug. So that's the dark side of Colombia, is that when it comes to safety, Colombia is one of the countries that I've noticed that it's not as safe. It's not a safe country, bro. There's a lot of I think there's organized crime, but since there's a lot of tourists that come down to Colombia for dating for this exact reason here, they get finessed, man. They get taken advantage of. They think that they're coming here for a good time, and next thing you know, this happens to them, and they get robbed of everything that they own. They get their bank accounts completely blown out, bro. Like they just wipe out everything. And the worst consequence from this is that you can actually overdose from this drug. So there's actually been people that have passed from that have expired from this process of people getting drugged under this substance. So it's pretty surreal, and this is not something that a lot of people don't talk about. I haven't seen too many people talk about this, but this is the truth about Colombia, bro. That this A lot of Latin American countries have been known to do things like this, but I think it's more prevalent in Colombia because of the whole, like, seg market, why people go down there because of this, right? And yeah, this is a big issue that they got over there. I think that there's like a growing negative perspective on Westerners, especially like white Westerners, which I mean, when I'm referring to like Americans, Europeans, white foreigners, because like luckily for me, man, one of my superpowers, I would tell you guys to like lean into your superpowers. And luckily for me, bro, since I grew up, being Latin American, parents are Mexican, grew up in the States. I grew up under like a Latin culture. So it makes it very easy for me to communicate with anyone in Spanish, any other Latin culture. Like we're different as far as like Mexicans and Colombians and Ecuadorians, Argentinians, Peruvians. We're all different, but at the end of the day, like we understand each other, and we know we understand like the EI, right? The emotional intelligence part. I think that's one of the superpowers of being Latin American, is that I can understand people in a deeper level because of that, as opposed to like a white guy or a black guy that just comes from the States. Like a lot of my homies that come down to Latin America, but they don't really understand like the nuances of what's going on in conversation, and I can understand that. And having that, I consider that a superpower, bro. Having that superpower, I feel like CIA agent sometimes, bro. Like, because I can really understand what's going on. I'm like covert, and I can really understand what's going on in many social dynamics. And with that, I talked to some of Colombia. I talked to a lot of Colombians, bro, when I was living over there, and man, they're cool, bro. Like, there's a lot of cool ones. It's just like anywhere you go, there's gonna be a lot of like positive people. There's gonna be negative people. You see this in any country that you go, but they would talk about like foreigners, how a lot of them would do crazy shit in their country, man. Like they will come party, then they're running like naked through the streets, or they're doing some like degenerate shit all over the country. And when you get in their perspective, you're like, man, you're right, bro. Like I wouldn't want like foreigners coming into my country, like disrespecting my country, treating like our women in a certain form, like in a disrespectful form, or our people in a disrespectful form. So I think that when you get into their perspective, bro, it makes sense why there's a lot of like negative backlash towards foreigners, and why they have those sentiments, because of like the degeneracy, bro, and the like the kind of like disrespect for the society that you get from tourists just wanting to party. So I completely understand where they're coming from. I still do not think it's like an excuse to do any of these things, right? Like drugging someone or you know kidnapping or doing any of that crazy shit. But yeah, man, this is kind of what to expect when you go to Colombia when you're there, and that there is like a negative perspective going on right now. And I also think that the dating market is very saturated in Colombia because since there's so many people going to Colombia, especially in Medellin, like like the girls son más creídas, right? It's just a saying that we say in Spanish, que es muy creída. Okay, that means that she thinks she's too hot for everyone. She thinks she's very hot. And the problem with that is that there is some hot girls, but it's like, bro, you're not gonna be battling all these guys for these girls, man. It's like it's not worth it. It's a lot of headaches. These girls usually have like something going on. Like I don't know, it's just not worth it, bro. The return on the investment is not worth it. So that's something that you have to get used to. A lot of these girls are like they think that they think their shit don't stink, bro. And that's I think an issue there, man, because it makes it harder to date over there because of that. So that sex tourism is a huge deal over there. I think I mean my personal take is that the government needs to do a better job of regulating that. They need to make the legal age of of participating in anything like that over 18. And also I think they need to just get rid of it. And if but it's easier said than done because there's so many people, it's hard to control that. They say that that's one of like the oldest professions in history. So it's going to be very difficult to control it, but the government needs to step in and do a little bit more on their part to really, really lock this in. So that's dating, man. That's dating. As you can see, there's a lot of pros, but there's also a lot of cons here, man. So be aware of Colombia because of that this is a big reason why to maybe consider Colombia. I think you need to go just so you can see it for yourself, but just be very careful. I wish I would have known this information before I went to Colombia. Luckily for me, nothing like this happened, but I did have a couple of friends that got robbed, and yeah, man, they got robbed, bro. I had a really good friend from Chile, and he got pickpocketed. I think they stole like his like iPhone chargers from his room. It was crazy, bro. But yeah, it happens, man, and it's becoming more frequent now that more people are going down there and they're realizing how cool it is and how fun it is, really. So the next things I want to break down here before we wrap up the video is the people. So I think that it's interesting to see how different countries have relationships with different countries. For example, like the relationship that Colombia has with the U.S. or how Colombia has uh, the relations with Mexico or with like Ecuador. And with the US, I think that there's a really good relationship. I think there's been a lot of foreign investment from the US into Colombia, especially after like the whole Pablo Escobar um, era, right? After they wiped out those cartels, a lot of foreign investment started pouring into Colombia. And I think that there's a lot of peaceful times when it comes to like they're like in a peaceful state right now when it comes to like all the stuff the past of the country. So Colombia is it's safer. It's not the safest country. I felt more safe when I was in Mexico, really, but it's safe, and I think they have good relations with the U.S. I think that in the Antioquia department, they're known as paisas. They're probably the most friendly. They're very friendly people, especially outside of Medellin, like in El Oriente or El Occidente. So those are probably some of the most friendly people that I've ever met in my life, and I really enjoyed living there as well. I was living in El Oriente for a good while, and I really enjoyed it there. So, but that's what they call them. They call them paisas in Medellin, that area around Medellin. And then you have Rolos, and the Rolos are from Bogota. And since I didn't live too much in Bogota, based off what paisas and from other Colombians, what they will tell me is that in Bogota, they're more closed off, they're more reserved to themselves. And this city is known to be more dangerous, more there's more burglaries where they steal your phone, they do a lot more of that petty crime. Bogota is more known for that. And it makes sense because it's a bigger city. Even though it happens a lot in Medellin too, but Bogota is more infamous for that. But yeah, they call people from Bogota Rolos. And then we have Cartagena. So Cartagena is the coastal city. I think people are more brash in Cartagena. I didn't really like the vibe in Cartagena because the people are are too pushy, man. Like they try to sell you everything. Like if you they try to sell you like a bracelet, they'll follow you for like 20 minutes. And if you don't buy from them, they get mad at you, man. Like they'll actually like they'll get mad at you. There's been a lot. You'll see this on TikTok, bro. A lot of incidents that have happened in Cartagena because of this reason. So I think in Cartagena, there's a lot of friendly people, but there's friendly people, but I think the majority of the people are more like brash. They're really indifferent. They don't really like tourists that much because there's so many there. But one of the biggest things to understand about Colombia is that there's a huge cultural diffusion. I think it's one of the most mixed countries that I've been to. Jumping down here to the geography, I really like to study the geography because it makes a lot of sense and you could really understand a country when you take a look at their geography. So on the top here is the Caribbean Sea. So Cartagena is right here on the very top. So there is a lot of African American, not African American, there's a lot of Afro influence, a lot of Afro genetics here in the north. A lot of Latin America is like this, especially in the Caribbean. You know, if we all know history, we know how everything went down. So I'm not gonna get into that, but there's a huge Afro population here in the north. You see it also in Colombia, but then here in the deeper parts of Colombia, but you see it mostly in the coast. And then we have the Andes Mountains. Medellin is in the Andes Mountains. It's right here in the middle. And yeah, this is the Departamento de Antioquia right here. This whole little thing right here is the Antioquia department. Medellin is smack there down there in the middle. And then Bogota is where's Bogota? That's pretty close to Medellin. It's right here in the middle. So this is the capital of Colombia. Another cool couple cities that I've heard that are really nice are Manizales and Pereira. I heard there's like this is where they cultivate a lot of coffee. There's a lot of pretty girls. But yeah, man, like I mentioned, there's a huge cultural diffusion. So there's black people all the way to white people, and there's a lot of mixture in the middle. So that's what's really cool about Colombia is the mixture. Um, yeah, bro, it's pretty interesting how like you have everything there, man. I think it's an interesting mix. Like I've never seen a cooler mix anywhere else. You know, I would see like beautiful girls, man, with like blue eyes, with like African features, like very curly hair. And it's crazy, bro. It's like, damn, she's pretty sexy, but it's just crazy, man. But yeah, man, you see some pretty interesting things, pretty interesting people, pretty interesting mixtures. And I think that was probably one of the things that I enjoyed the most with Colombia. But yeah, so down here is the Amazonas, man. So they have they their neighbors are Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador. Your boy's currently over here in Ecuador. Peru, mm, Peru. A lot of countries have like some issues with Peru, bro, because Peru has been very like expansionist, where they try to like take over territories, and I know that they had a war down here for the territories here in the Amazonas. Ecuador, they're pretty cool with Ecuadorians. They used to be part of like Gran Colombia, so they're pretty cool here on this side. But yeah, man, this area here, Bogota, is colder. It's known more for its colder climate. Medellin is like hot. It can be cold sometimes. Medellin's all right as far as weather. I think the Oriente of Medellin, of Antioquia, is probably the best weather here in this area. But the rest of Colombia is pretty hot. Cartagena, hot, humid, and yeah, this would be the geography. So to wrap up the video, man, final important takeaways is Colombia is like any country, you're gonna find what you're looking for, man. And if you're looking to have a good time, have fun, party, you will definitely find it in Colombia. You'll definitely find it in Medellin, in Cartagena. And if you're looking for any of that stuff that that you hear on the news, you'll find it, but you have to be very careful because it's also very, very dangerous. Colombia is a dangerous country, bro. Medellin is dangerous, Bogota is dangerous, Cartagena is dangerous, and you can find yourself in very rough situations if you're not careful. It's Colombia is very price friendly, so I think a lot of things over there were not expensive. I think Ecuador is more expensive than Colombia for sure. Everything was pretty, cost effective. It really depends the vibe that you want. If you want to go to the countryside, like I lived in the countryside and I really enjoyed it, man. The people were really friendly. I was in Rio Negro, and that's probably one of my favorite parts of Colombia, just in the countryside, away from all the noise. It really depends the vibe that you want. And a lot of people are not going for the countryside. A lot of people are going to party. And if you're going for that, just be very careful. It can be dangerous. Be mindful of the people of when people are being too friendly when they're offering you things. Because one thing that I noticed about, and I'm not saying like all Colombians are like this, man, but I think in Medellin, it's like people are too friendly, bro, and it comes off as a little off-putting. And usually when somebody's too friendly, it's like you want something, right? Like there's like an underlying motive behind it. So I think it's also important as you start traveling to different locations is to really understand body language, really. And I'm gonna make a lot of videos on this, coming soon. So if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. I dropped a lot of sauce, a lot of value in this video for free, bro. A lot of value. So smash that subscribe button, man. So yeah, man. So body language is very important. Understanding tonality, understanding how to read eyes, understanding like intentions is very important. And I think that the way that particularly Colombians in Medellin will get one over you is when they're being extra friendly to you. When they're trying to like, hey man, like come over here, let's go do this. Let me see this. It's like, back up. You're a little too close. Just be mindful of that, man. That's something that you see a lot in Latin American countries in general, but I saw that a lot in Colombia. I saw that in Medellin, and you also have to be very aware of like that social media dating, bro. Tinder, Bumble. Whenever you see anyone covering up their face, if someone does not want to take a picture, turn on the flash, take a selfie. They don't want to take that picture. They want to cover up their face. That's a huge red flag. If their face does not match up their profile, red flag, bro. So that's one of the best tests that you can do. Take a selfie with someone. Take a lot of selfies with someone. Make sure that you're in a very public setting. And if they don't have any issues with that, then you're good. But there's people that, trust me, man, this happened to my boy, that if they start covering their face, if they start to like duck their face, they don't want to be seen, is that they're hiding something, and they're most likely trying to scam you. They're trying to do something. They're trying to maybe drug you, do something to steal your shit. So yeah, man, be aware of that. That's a big thing over there. So there you have it, gentlemen. This is my full in-depth review of Colombia. I personally really enjoyed Colombia. I liked it. I loved it. People are friendly. People are cool. It just, it just depends on the vibe that you go, where you're going, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If you're te la llevas tranquilo, man, you're chilling, you're having fun, you're not out here doing crazy things, I think you'll have a really good time. But it's just when you start to, dabble in any of the how can we call it, the red light district kind of activities, the nighttime activities, that's when you gotta be a little bit more precautious and be aware of what's going on. But other than that, man, Colombia's pretty cool. Let me know what you think. Drop down your thoughts, any questions, drop them all down in the comment section below. Are you planning on going to Colombia anytime soon? Let me know what you think about this video. And also let me know if you think I should make a Rumble account where I can just go unfiltered, go raw, and really drop the sauce. If I'm strongly considering just creating a Rumble account just so I can go off, man, go off unfiltered. But I'll catch you all. I'll catch you guys all in the next video. I'm about to go get in this workout. Today is leg day, baby. So we're gonna destroy these legs. But I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay strong, stay relentless, and keep on conquering. You got this. Peace.